Welcome, everyone. My name is Nichi Avina, and we are doing Regulate to Educate. Some super cool new or remix of EduProtocols to help your class stay regulated. It's my honor to be here. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I think people here have been on CuraPod before, and so if you haven't, just join Curie.live, and here's the pin 079980. Perfect. And yeah, so my name is Nichi Avina, and I'm here to talk about how we regulate so that we can educate. And before we begin, I just want to thank everyone for jumping on the Zoom, for being educators. I think because of you, a lot of lives will be saved. Public school teachers, I feel like, are the unsung heroes of the 21st century. So thank you for being you, and thank you for being here. So just to start, I want to do a little word cloud. Where's everybody from? And if you could just type in your location. I love your reply. My favorite. Just take a moment, type in where you're from. About 15 seconds there. And for those of you just streaming in, please join Curie.live, and the pin is 079980. Just surveying where everyone's from. Ooh, Michigan. Oh, a lot of Michiganers. New Jersey, Wyoming, Chico State, Chico, California. Okay, Oroville, SoCal, Alaska, Kansas, Tennessee. Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you and welcome. Thank you for joining. So I'm just gonna go straight. I'm gonna dive into it. I'm one of those people that likes to dive into the hard stuff. So ACEs, everybody knows what they are. They're adverse childhood experiences, and many of us know, these aren't just painful memories. They shape and disrupt the developing nervous system. Things like abuse, neglect, witnessing violence, living with mental illness at home. These are what our students carry with them as they go into our classrooms. Okay. So my own personal story, these are some stats on ACEs. Take a look, 4 more ACEs. Suicide attempts increased 1,220%, right? So my brother Nico and I were Irish twins, and we grew up with almost the same ACE score. He had a 6, I had a 5, and that 1 point difference. You can see the stats for yourself. It meant life or death. My brother died of suicide at 27. I just turned 52 this weekend. Yesterday was my birthday. So, and how did I do it? How did I beat the odds? And I really feel that I met teachers like you who lent a very dysregulated little girl their calm regulated nervous system. And so your presence and your ability to co-regulate with your students can literally save lives. Okay, so teachers have this superpower. Where's their superpower slide? There it is. You have a superpower. You can shift an entire classroom from fight or flight into calm in just minutes. And so we're going to talk about how. Just a little background, your autonomic nervous system, that's your automatic nervous system. And basically it runs things that you don't have to think about, your heartbeat, your digestion, your breathing. It also runs something called neuroception. It's your body's radar that always asks, am I safe or am I in danger? And a well-regulated nervous system moves in waves, like a sine wave, right? So we rise into sympathetic activation for action and drop into parasympathetic release for our rest and digest phase, right? And so this nice, beautiful wave has the capacity to hold varying feelings and emotions throughout the day, but we feel okay. Even though we're angry, we're okay. Even though we're sad, we're okay, right? And this is called the okay zone. And sometimes trauma or chronic stress hijacks our ability to ride that wave. and it's like a lightning bolt that hits the nervous system. And if it's too sudden or it happens for too long, we can get stuck in something called the high zone, fight or flight, or low zone, freeze, shutdown. And while those states are ideal to keep us alive in a crisis, we're not meant to live there, right? So if heaven forbid an active shooter were walk into my home, right? I want to be in my high zone. I really I want that cortisol, that adrenaline. I want that rapid heartbeat. Get me the heck out of here. So basically, when you start to live in your higher low zone, the symptoms start to show up. Okay, so if we stay stuck on it too long, and these are some of the symptoms that kids start to experience: being stuck in high zone, being stuck on low zone. And yeah, if you give me a thumbs up if you notice some of this stuff in your classroom. Right? Yeah. I see lots of thumbs up. This is it. This is what we live with. Okay. Now, adults, start to show symptoms or syndromes if they live in their high zone for too long. Give me a thumbs up if you've experienced 10 or more, right, of these symptoms. I know during the pandemic, I had like 15, all 15 of these things. I had so many, right? Yeah. So basically, there's this. I'm a science teacher. That's like my day job, and so I am very geeky about infographics. I don't know if you guys can really like read the fine print, but this is Dr. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory, shows how our body shifts based on safety or threat. So if you check out this infographic, red is fight or flight, booze freeze, and that wavy
Your
line.
slides are really small.
Yeah,
Is
that's
it
the
you?
okay zone. How about
Okay.
can everyone see what's going on here? Um, I just zoomed in just a
It's
tad
your
bit.
screen, I think.
It's my screen.
It's not like
How
in
about
the
this?
big mode. Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
much better.
So yeah, so the green is kind of like that's called the okay zone. This is where we want to be. And as soon as we get into fight or flight, our body systems start to activate different things like blood pressure, heart rate, right? And while this is good in an emergency setting, you don't want to live here. And what has happened over the course of our just time, we've normalized living in our high zone, and then some people are living in something called functional freeze, right? Where their body is frozen. So fuel storage goes up, insulin activity goes up. So that's why people that live in high poverty, high stress areas have a tendency to have diabetes or hypertension, right? So if we start to live in these zones, then our bodies it wreaks havoc on our health, right? Good thing is that there is a good news. Regulation is teachable. The Trauma Resource Institute created something called the Community Resiliency Model, and they're simple set of 6 nervous system sensory-based regulation skills that anyone can learn. It's not rocket science, and that's what my book is about. We're going to teach this, and we're going to deliberately teach this in the classroom. We're going to teach it to ourselves, and then we're going to teach it to our students. So we're going to learn the first skill, and the first skill is called tracking. And basically, the autonomic nervous system's main doorway to hack into the autonomic nervous system is through sensation. And that's more than thoughts, then more than feelings. It's our sensation. So we are going to talk about something called interoception. That's the sense of what's happening on the inside. Your heartbeat, your hunger, your thirst, your internal temperature, the sensations that you feel. That's called, just tuning into that is called interoception. So we're going to try a little activity. I want everyone to pick up 2 objects. So you can pick up your phone, just have something in hand, both objects in hand. So it could be like, I have this little phone stand and my phone. Yeah. So just pick up those 2 objects, and I want you to like handle them one at a time. And I want you to notice just with your sensations, what do you notice about it? Feel its warmth, right? And then pick up the other object. Maybe it's a rock. Maybe it's like a pencil. Notice its coolness, right? And then as you pick up one or the other object, tell me where you know which one makes you feel the most calm on the inside. Is it your phone or is it that pencil? Which one makes you feel the most calm on the inside, right? And where do you feel that calm in your body? And go ahead and type in the chat. What was your object and where did it? Oh, coffee cup. That's a good one, right? Uh-huh. Which one made you feel more calm? Object A or object B? So go ahead and write the name of that object. I see coffee cup. Anyone else? Ooh, the texture on the back of your phone case. A cube fidget, right? A pen. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so now we're just going to go a little bit deeper. A clicky pen, right? Teacup. So, Donna, was it the phone or the teacup that made you feel more calm? The teacup, right? Okay. So now we're just going to dive in and just do a little self exploration. Where in your body do you notice the calm? Is it in your heart? Is it in your head? Right? I'm not going to tell you where because every nervous system is different. Where do you notice the calm and how do you feel the calm in your body? And I want you to use sensational language, language around sensation. Right, so I'm going to start this activity and go ahead and write it down. Where in your body do you notice the calm and how do you feel the calm in your body? And for those of you who just came in, please join Curie.live and the pin is 079980. Awesome. There you go. Right, the heart, calm in my chest. Some people felt calm in their core. They could feel their breathing getting a little slower. Yes. Oh, this is wonderful. Um, yeah, so what you guys did is you just started to develop your interoceptive awareness, which is sensational awareness. And, one study showed that people who practice this skill reduce their anxiety by 31%. It's so simple, it's so powerful. You can do this in your classroom. They can track around a pencil or they can track around an object from their backpack. And voila, you could start to feel a little bit calmness, right? Okay, so the next hack is tracking around a resource. All right, so a resource is a person, place, or thing that makes you feel, it's real or imagined, that makes you feel loved, strong, and calm. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to just take a little detour from CurePod and we are going to go into a Padlet. So, go ahead and type in tinyurl.com R2E fondest. And we are going to track around our fondest memory. And let me put that in the chat right now. And you can click on that if you want to. And we're going to generate an AI generated image of a fond memory in our life. Okay, so for those of you who are not experienced with Padlet, you can just follow what I'm doing on the screen, right? So click on this link. All right. So one of the resources that we have are our memories, right? This is one of my favorite activities. I ask the kids, hey, what is a really fond memory that you have in your life? And what I do is I ask them to create an AI generated image. And what you're going to do is you're going to click plus here on the right hand side, plus post. Okay. And you're going to click on plus 16, which is right here. Right. And there is in this little green menu button, AI image. And when you do that, you can actually be as descriptive as possible. So for me, one of my fondest memories is sitting on my dad's lap, and he would, when I was a little girl, and he would feed me with his hands. In the Philippines, it's called kamayan when you eat with your hands, and he would like dissect whatever fish head. It could be like okra, and yeah. Oh, somebody already started going to Alaska on a cruise. So just be as descriptive as possible. Um, Sitting on my dad's lap in the Philippines, being fed seafood. And the neat thing about AI generated images, it'll generate like a plethora, and you'll know which one resonates with your nervous system. Let me see. This one's a weird one. I think I'm gonna put fish. Let's see if it generates a different one. Ah, determined octopus. My fondest memory is traveling on a plane with my two small children for the very first time. Wonderful. Oh, here we go. This one. Yeah. So pick the one that resonates with your nervous system. My dad feeding seafood. Oh, look at this one. One early morning, I wanted to climb the top of Mount Lassen, an active volcano in California. Oh, look at this, climbing the top of a volcano. Oh, beautiful. Somebody's picking flowers with grandmother, being on the beach. Maui waterfall. Is that a real picture of the Maui waterfall? That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. Playing Scrabble. Nice, nice. All these memories are so beautiful. Just looking at them. A lot of my students, if you scroll down, have populated this beautiful Padlet of the fondest memory. And so now we are actually going to go into the interoceptive activity around our fondest memory, and we're going to track. Okay, so go ahead and go to your fondest memory in your mind's eye. You can close your eyes if you want. You can keep them open, or you can actually put that fond memory right in front of you, right? I think this is my other fond memory, being in the beach in the Philippines with my family, right? And just go there in real time. And close your eyes. And what do you begin? Maybe you can actually go to that fondest memory and look around that space. See the colors, feel whatever you need to feel underneath your feet, or if it's being with a person, just pretend that person's right next to you. You're picking flowers with grandma. And what do you begin to notice on the inside as you touch into your fond memory? And go ahead and type it in the chat if you can start to notice, if you notice something on the inside. Where is the chat here? What do you begin to notice on the inside? Yeah, a buzzing calm, right? And where do you start to notice these sensations? Are they in your heart? Are they in your limbs? Yeah. Breathing, it's instantly soothing. It evokes some sadness. Yeah, a little bit of sadness. It's very poignant. Some of these memories are super poignant. Yeah. Yeah. Peace. Yeah. This is so cool, right? And so it only takes maybe a minute or two, but you guys have just entered into your okay zone, right? Parasympathetic release. If you notice yawning, if you notice burping, if you notice the urge to go to the restroom, you've entered into your okay zone. You're resting and digesting, right? And so you've hacked into your nervous system and you've entered your okay zone. So one of the things that I like to do with my students is do something called the sketch and tell, a really famous EduProtocol. And this is one of my students, and her favorite place is Mexico. And every time she was super sad, all I needed to share was, "Hey, you know, Sam, when are you going to Mexico?" And automatically her physiology would shift, right? And this is, so we're going to do a little sketch and tell. I'm going to have you guys draw, where do you notice these calming, or I call them, sensations of wellness in your body. So we're going to take a moment or so to do that now. I'm going to start this activity. About 2 minutes. And I want you to kind of draw your sensations around your fondest memory. Okay. Where do you notice the calm? Where do you notice the buzzing? You can use different colors. Like 30 more seconds, 20 more seconds. Wonderful. All right. Oh, look at all the details added. Wonderful. We're going to vote. We're going to see who had a really good descriptive um, sketch and tell around their fondest memory. I love this voting thing. My students dig it. So thank you, CurePod. All right. Look at this. Okay. Very nice. Oh, somebody noticed something in their heart, right? Beautiful. Some sensation that, this is neat right here. A lot of activity in the head, right? So every nervous system is different. And so it's really neat to see everybody's um, drawings right here. So this is a student of mine. You can teach it as early as kindergarten. I mean, these are simple skills. You can teach it to preschoolers. And this is a person, and this is actually a dream student. Take a look at what she shared about her resource. Okay, and we would all love to have this student. Her resource is reading.
My resources are my Junie B. Jones books and my doll. And I just make my doll read with me. And then it's so funny. It just makes me calm down and then calm down. I go back and try again.
Yeah. So when you're reading, what do you sense inside when you're
I
thinking?
sense like a fuzzy, cozy, warm
Where do you sense that?
in my heart.
In your heart? Yeah. You like reading a lot, huh? Do you have that in your drawing? Can I see your drawing? Oh, there it is. Junie B. Jones.
Like I have one right here.
Oh my goodness. That's awesome. I love reading as a resource. That was my resource
I
too.
have the number 1 all the way to 5.
Wow. Wow. Isn't she a doll? So, so how did we enter into our okay zone? According to polyvagal theory, we cued our body into a felt sense of safety. And I had you guys track around your safe object, a calming object. Then I had you guys start to engage with a positive, fond memory, right? And so this newfound interoceptive skill is super important. So, paying attention to these regenerative feelings really is one of the things that helps us get into our okay zone. So when I was a young girl in the southern Philippines under the Marcos regime, I didn't know what the okay zone was. I only felt either high or low zone, right? And so when I started learning these skills, when I went to therapy at, when I was 36, right? It was like Jasmine from a whole new world, right? For the first time, without using substances, I was able to create sensations of wellness that softened the feelings of distress that I constantly live with, right? So teaching to students to tune into sensations of wellness is actually a game changer, especially for kids that live in with intergenerational trauma and high stress environments, right? And so if you think of your garden, your well-being as a garden, if you only water the weeds, right, every day, which is like, the trauma, the stress, then they'll start to take over. But even with multiple ACEs, you can start to choose to water the flowers, right, the resources and the sensations of wellness. And when we learn to notice the difference between sensations of wellness and distress, then students can start to have agency to choose what they begin to notice on the inside, right? And thanks to neuroplasticity, our brains can rewire themselves at any age. I mean, I was 36 before I felt like a normal person, right? I taught these skills to my dad who was battling cancer, and he was in his 70s, right? So Dr. Schatz out of Stanford, she talked about what repeated behavior, good or bad, gets wired into our brain and becomes more likely to be triggered often. So brain cells that fire together wire together. So we're going to learn our third skill, which is called grounding. So are you guys ready for this next hack? All right. So grounding is because we live and we evolved on Earth. We actually feel gravity, and so gravitational security is what sets us up to feel secure. So like just imagine being like in a spinny thing in like Six Flags Magic Mountain, and you're just like, oh my God. So then you're dysregulated all the time, right? So really feeling that support of the ground, support of the earth, feeling gravity weighing on your body really helps you feel safe and connected. And it's really the foundation for all the relationships that it can help your relationships thrive. So what we're going to do is we are going to practice 5 grounding skills. Okay, so the first one is laying on a surface. The second one is touching a solid surface. The third one is walking and paying attention to the ground supporting your feet. The fifth one is sitting on a chair and noticing, or a sofa, or the ground, crisscross applesauce. Notice the points of contact your body is making on that surface. And last but not least, my favorite is leaning against the wall. Like there's something about when you lean your back against a wall. All right. So we're going to do something called things that rock, and I want you to try every single one. I'm going to give you maybe let's do it to Johnny Nash's song, I Can See Clearly Now the Rain Is Gone. I want you to try all 5 of these grounding methods, and I want you to track. Use your newfound interoceptive skill. What do you notice inside your body when you use all these different 5 grounding methods? And then pick your favorite one at the end. Okay, let's do that now. We'll give you about 2.5 minutes. Everyone get up. Do something.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. I think I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue sky. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Oh, what a bright, bright, sunshiny day.
Yay! Welcome back. All right, let's vote. What was your favorite grounding activity? Wow. Okay, it's a tie. Laying on a solid surface and hands on a solid surface. All right, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So, this can be done anywhere. These are my middle school students grounding. You could do this on the rug, sitting crisscross applesauce. At the beginning of the morning meeting, you can ask them to pay attention to the surface as they sit on the rug, and what do they notice on the inside, right? So, just a little bit more psycho ed here. Back to ACEs. So the kids in our classroom today, they already carry at least one ACE, and that's the pandemic. And for many of them, that's just the beginning, right? So for kids with 4 or more ACEs, the OK zone can feel like a foreign language, right? What is this? How does one feel okay, right? And they're more used to being stuck on high or low, right? And the reason why is because developmentally, we were all born with the sympathetic activation and the parasympathetic release, fight or flight and freeze, right? That was born, that we're all hardwired for that. But this whole social engagement piece, being in the OK zone, it develops during early childhood when the baby co-regulates with a good enough caregiver, right? So, and that's how we learn self-regulation. So, and if you look at the stages of regulation, it's a deeply relational process. So we're at first, there's no regulation, and then we learn co-regulation with a caregiver, and then self-regulation, right? And so when students do not have that co-regulation with a good enough adult, maybe their parents are shooting up drugs in the garage and the baby's just crying by themselves in the crib, right? Good luck. They come to class with no regulation. But one of the neat things about, being a teacher is that we give them that second chance, right? As child trauma therapist Maggie Klein says, when children miss out on early co-regulation, the teacher-child relationship becomes very critical, right? And she outlines the 8 essentials of healthy attachment. And these are daily nervous system vitamins for children who didn't get them during the key developmental years. And, we can give this to them in the classroom, safety, kind eyes, shared attention, nurturing touch, appropriate nurturing touch, right? Soothing activities, rhythm, smiles, alternating between quiet and stimulating activities. We can give this to them, right? And so, when teachers consistently offer these, we become the co-regulators that our students need, and we help wire their brains for connection, safety, and lifelong regulation. And when kids don't feel safe, their nervous systems begin to suffer. And so teaching regulation is crime prevention, it's addiction prevention. And just with these small, simple tools, I taught you 3 of them today. Teachers can help turn the tide on the American mental health crisis, one nervous system at a time, one classroom at a time. All right, so I'm going to teach you, this is the last set of skills that I'm going to teach. We don't have time to go through all of them, but these set of skills is called Help Now. It's the EpiPen of the Community Resiliency Model. It's designed to help students or family members get down from fight or flight quickly. Right? And there's a set of 10 skills that you can actually enact anytime in your classroom during transitions. One of my favorites, because we live in the desert and it's really hot, especially around test taking season, which is May. It starts to get hot in May, is I bring cold water to class. A bucket of ice and cold water for kids to drink. And it's actually an amazing thing, and we're going to try it. I'm going to show you one of my little students drinking cold water, reflecting on how to drink cold water. It's amazing. She's super cute.
Hi, Miss Wagner. A few minutes ago, before I did my reading on Flip, I wasn't in a good mood. Because of times 9, I was grumping and fussing. But now, I'm going to make this stop by drinking my water bottle that I didn't drink. Now, I'll drink it in 3, 2, 1. I feel that cold in my heart because the water is cold. It's moving to my head, and then my stomach, and now my feet. I think I'm ready to say sorry to my parents for crying in front of them. Bye!
Isn't she cute? Okay, so we're gonna try one now. I'm gonna have you guys just pick up a cup right next to you. It doesn't have to be cold, it could be a warm beverage. And just take a moment and notice the sensation as you're drinking your beverage. Just notice. What do you notice? What do you begin to notice on the inside? Yeah, type it in the chat. What are you beginning to notice? Just drinking that beverage, feeling your sensation around that. Oh, yeah. I was thinking, okay, we can put those in the help now could be in a random spinner and just like try it with in the classroom. That's a good idea. Anyone else share what they notice as they drink? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and drink more. If you didn't notice anything, do it again. And this time, be very mindful. Yeah, cool and calm. Kelly, where do you notice the calm? In your throat, yeah. So just the calmness right here, right? And if you guys, again, if you start to burp, if you start to yawn, right? Maybe tear up a little bit, or if you have the urge to go to the bathroom, congratulations, you just entered into the parasympathetic release, rest and digest, right? And you've entered into your okay zone. So just a little bit more psychoed before we end this session. Dr. Bruce Perry talks about something called the neurosequential model. And it describes our brain as an upside down triangle with the brainstem at the base. If the survival brain isn't settled, there is no access to higher order thinking skills like empathy and literacy and, controlling yourself, right? And so this is what it looks like. The brain allocates resources differently, and it's completely state dependent. So when we're dysregulated in fight or flight, there's not a lot of blood flowing to the neocortex, right? The most blood flow goes to a neocortex when we are in this calm, regulated state. And this is another neurosequential model. Infographic. I'm a very infographic heavy person. I love infographics. It's a scientist in me. But notice where the functional IQ is when you're calm versus when you're in fear. So yes, it helps to regulate them before a test. And that's why I bring that ice cold glasses of water. I have that accessible to my students in May when we are taking those state exams, right? So so the moral of the story is, please give yourself permission to live in your okay zone. I have a really close friend of mine. She's a brilliant physical therapist, and she struggles from anxiety because of some childhood trauma. And she just found out that she has early osteoporosis. She's in her 50s, but her bones are that of an 80-year-old. And that's because studies have shown that people who live in their high zone have a tendency to block sufficient bone formation. So it compromises the formation of your bones if you live in your high zone. So it's super important that we start to live in our okay zone, give ourselves permission to live in our okay zone. Right? So a lifetime of sympathetic overdrive blocks bone formation. Living in your okay zone protects your health, your relationships. People actually start to like you more, right? It optimizes the human experience. And this is one of my favorite slides, Our nervous systems are always communicating, not with just words, but through our presence, our tone, our facial expressions, the state of our heart. Therapists call this the heart-face connection. So when our heart is regulated, our face softens, our voice calms, and our whole presence becomes a signal for safety. So whether we notice it or not, our students and our families are always co-regulating with us, and their nervous systems are reading ours moment by moment. And that's why for educators, a regulated nervous system isn't a luxury, it's a responsibility. Our regulation changes the space. It helps the little bodies who come to us in those 180 days a year. They're just not looking to learn math or reading, but they're looking for safety, for attunement, for belonging, right? And regulation can't be taught through words alone. It's transmitted life to life, nervous system to nervous system, and it really does begin with us. So, if please do whatever you can, chase the resilience. You have some skills. If you're really interested in learning a little bit more, here are some key resources. The Community Resiliency Model, they have an app called iChill. Heart Math is another really cool psychoed program, brain changing strategies to trauma proof our schools. That's another good one. It's like, I feel like that's like the Bible of activities for regulation in the schools. And then there's a couple picture books. Maggie Klein wrote My Inner Doggy is Growling, using sensational awareness to deal with anger, right? And Gabby Garcia is another really good one. And I wrote a book. It's coming out in the summer, I think. It's called Regulate to Educate, and 15 easy lessons to teach your classroom to stay regulated, right? And I have one last thing before we go, one last little cure pod activity. What is one thing you learned in this last hour that you're going to try when you go back to your classroom or place of work on Monday? And I'm going to give you a minute to do that. And this is called AI feedback. You're going to get some feedback from. Just got feedback. Please feel free to read that. Amazing feature of CurePod. Oh, I love this. Things that rock. Grounding, sensory awareness. It was a great reminder how simple it can be to engage SEL skills into other things you're already doing. Yeah, this is what it's about, right? You don't have to add another lesson. You can just use these hacks in the lessons that you have, in the dialogue that you have with the students, feeling the calmness in my body and how it affects students. Wow. Yay, mission accomplished. You guys learned some good things. Let's close this. Yeah, so please take this survey, and I want to if you take the survey, I'm going to send you my first week Smart Start. And it's first week of school, but you can actually use it anytime, especially after spring break. Kids coming back from spring break, getting a little crazy. Oh, Jacob, thank you. You're a great partner.
Well, I had a question and I put in the chat. It's like, so working with the students doing this it's amazing. I love this idea. Do you think then it can transpose and they could take it home and maybe their parents might get something from that? Because sometimes that's where the conflict is going to be, because sometimes your parents are all stressed out.
Yeah. So I did a lesson with a second grade class. I have a peer mentoring elective class, sixth, seventh, and eighth graders that learn these skills. And then we go out and we push into, um, we are a TK8 charter, and we push into the younger grades. And I have these second graders teach, these middle schoolers teach these um, elementary school students. Anyways, we were in the second grade class. Sorry, I'm digressing. We're in a second grade class, and we talked about anger, and I showed them some strategies to get over, being fight or flight around like some angry event. And then I said, how many people want to teach this to their parents? And every single one of those kids are like, yes, I'm going to teach this to my